Welcome.
The kid wasn't crying. Something else was pretending to be him. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Nightmare Whispers. If you're new here, sit back, relax, and maybe don't babysit alone tonight. This story was sent in by someone who chose to stay anonymous, and after hearing it, you'll understand why. So this all started when I was 19, just trying to make some quick money. I picked up this babysitting job in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio. Everything seemed normal at first. Nice house, calm street, nothing unusual, but the moment I stepped inside, something felt off, like the house itself was too quiet. The parents were in a hurry to leave. The dad barely said anything, and the mom just gave me quick instructions before stopping and looking straight at me, her expression suddenly serious. Ethan goes to bed at 9, and whatever you do, don't open the basement door. And yeah, I know how that sounds, like straight out of a horror movie. But I just laughed it off thinking she was being dramatic. She didn't laugh back, not even a little. Which honestly should have been my first red flag, but I ignored it because I needed the money. After they left, it was just me and Ethan, and right away I noticed something strange about him. He was 6 years old but barely spoke, just sat there eating quietly, staring at me in this way that made me uncomfortable, like he was watching me instead of just looking. I tried to make conversation, keep things normal, but he barely responded, just nodded or gave one-word answers, and at one point I jokingly asked if there were monsters in the house, and he looked at me completely serious and said, "They're downstairs," and I laughed it off, but he didn't, not even a smile. And that's when I started feeling that weird tension, like something wasn't right, but I couldn't explain it. So around 9:15 I took him upstairs and tucked him into bed. Everything seemed fine until I was about to leave the room, and he quietly said, "Don't go downstairs after I sleep." And that line hit different, especially because it matched what his mom said. But again, I brushed it off and went back downstairs, sat on the couch, turned on the TV, scrolling my phone, trying to relax, telling myself I was just overthinking things. Everything felt normal again for a while, like nothing was wrong. Then around 10:20, I heard it, footsteps coming from upstairs, slow, dragging footsteps, and instantly my stomach dropped, because I knew I had just put Ethan to bed. So I called out his name, but there was no response, just silence. And then again, footsteps, louder this time, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I grabbed my phone and slowly walked upstairs, my heart pounding harder with every step. And the second I reached the hallway, I noticed his bedroom door was open, which immediately made me uneasy because I clearly remembered closing it. I pushed the door open and the bed was empty, completely empty. And at that point I started panicking, checking everywhere, the closet, the bathroom, even under the bed, but he was nowhere. And then suddenly I heard a whisper right behind me, "Downstairs," and I froze. My entire body went cold. I slowly turned around and saw Ethan standing in the hallway. But something about him was off. His face looked wrong, like his smile was stretched too wide, his eyes darker than before, and I tried to stay calm, asking him why he was out of bed, and he just shook his head and said, "I didn't go downstairs," which confused me because I never even mentioned that. And then he added, "Mom said don't open the basement door," before calmly walking back into his room like nothing happened. And at that moment I knew something wasn't right, but I still didn't leave. I went back downstairs trying to convince myself it was just a weird kid, nothing more. So I sat on the couch again, turned the TV volume up, trying to distract myself. But deep down I couldn't shake that feeling, like something in that house was watching me, waiting. Around midnight, that's when everything changed. I heard a knock coming from the basement door, slow, heavy, deliberate, like someone was knocking from the inside, and my chest tightened instantly. I just sat there staring at the door, hoping it would stop, but it didn't. It kept going, louder and more desperate. And then I heard a voice. "Hey, it's me. Ethan, can you open the door?" And the moment I heard that, my blood ran cold, because that voice sounded exactly like him. Every detail was the same. and slowly I turned my head toward the stairs, and there he was, Ethan, standing there silently, staring at the basement door, and I couldn't even process what was happening. I looked at him, then back at the door, then back at him again, and that's when he walked closer to me and whispered, "Don't open it." And the knocking suddenly got louder, more aggressive. "Please, let me out. It's dark in here." And it sounded so real, so desperate, that for a second I almost believed it, like maybe there really was a kid trapped down there. But then Ethan grabbed my arm tightly and said, "If you open that door, it won't stop." And something in his voice made me listen, like pure instinct telling me not to move. So I slowly backed away from the door, and suddenly the knocking stopped. Complete silence. And for a few seconds, everything felt normal again. Too normal. And then from the other side of the door, I heard scratching, slow, dragging scratches like nails against wood, followed by a low, distorted laugh that didn't sound human at all. And that was enough for me. I grabbed Ethan and ran out of the house without thinking twice. Once outside, I called the parents, my hands shaking as I tried to explain everything. And the mom went quiet for a moment before asking one question. "You didn't open the basement door, right?" And when I said no, she just told me to stay outside until they got back. And when they arrived, they didn't ask many questions, just took Ethan inside like they already knew something. And I never went back, never got paid either. But honestly, I didn't care, because a few days later I looked up the house online and found out that years ago a kid went missing there. Same house, same basement, last seen near that door, and they never found him. And after what I heard that night, I'm convinced of one thing: whatever was knocking, it wasn't trying to get out. It was trying to trick me into letting it in. This one isn't just from one person. It's been pieced together from multiple reports, online posts, and even a police file that never really made it public. But everything leads back to the same place, the same babysitting job, and the same pattern that keeps repeating. There's this house sitting at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac in Pennsylvania. Looks completely normal from the outside, like the kind of place where nothing bad ever happens. Clean yard, porch, light always on, nothing unusual, which is probably why people keep accepting the job when it shows up online every few months. Sometimes on Craigslist, sometimes on Facebook, sometimes on babysitting apps. Always the same deal. One kid, easy job, overnight shift, and the pay? Way too good for how simple it sounds. And every time someone new takes it. The first known case was a girl named Melissa, 18 years old, just trying to make quick money before college. She told her friend the job sounded too easy to be real, but still took it. When she got there, the parents seemed polite but distant, barely talked, just said their son Daniel was already asleep, and then gave one rule that stood out. Don't go into the upstairs hallway after midnight. And yeah, she thought it was weird but didn't take it seriously. By 11 p.m. she texted her friend saying the house felt off, like too quiet, like something was wrong, but she couldn't explain it. Then midnight came and she heard footsteps upstairs, slow, steady, like someone walking around. She hesitated because of the rule, but eventually said she was going to check, and after that, she never responded again. The next morning, the parents claimed she left early because she felt sick, but her car was still outside. Her phone was found inside the house, and Melissa was never seen again. No signs of forced entry, no evidence, nothing, just gone like she never existed. A few months later, the same listing showed up again, different name, same house. This time a guy named Trevor took the job, 21 years old, college student, needed money. Same situation, same parents, same calm but distant behavior. And again, the same rule. Don't go upstairs after midnight. But Trevor wasn't the type to get scared easily. So when midnight hit and he heard footsteps upstairs, he didn't hesitate. He grabbed his phone and went up, but the second he stepped into the hallway, something felt wrong. The hallway looked longer than it should have been, like it stretched further than the house allowed. And at the end of it there was a door he didn't remember seeing before. From behind it came heavy breathing, slow and unnatural. He called out, but got no response. just silence. So he moved closer, and right as he reached for the handle, the breathing stopped completely, and then a voice behind him said, "Don't open that." He turned around and saw Daniel, the kid, standing there, but something about him was off. His eyes looked empty, like there was nothing inside. Trevor tried to brush it off, but the kid just stared and said, "You're not supposed to be here." And when Trevor mentioned the parents, the kid tilted his head and said, "They're not my parents." And before Trevor could react, the door behind him started shaking violently, like something was trying to break out. And that's when he panicked, ran downstairs without looking back, got outside and called the police. But when they arrived, the house was completely empty. No parents, no child, nothing. Just Trevor's phone still recording. And when officers checked the footage later, they heard a voice from upstairs whispering, "Another one." And after that, the house stayed quiet for almost a year. No activity, no listings, nothing. Until it appeared again. Same job, same house, same promise of easy money. This time a woman named Rachel took it. She didn't believe in ghost stories or online rumors, thought everything was fake. So she accepted the job without hesitation. But the moment she entered the house, she felt it. Something wasn't right. The air felt heavy. The place smelled old, like it hadn't been lived in for years. But the parents were there again, smiling, acting normal. And once again, the same rule, don't go upstairs after midnight. Except this time Rachel didn't plan on listening. So when she heard footsteps around 12:30, she grabbed a kitchen knife and went upstairs. And what she saw wasn't normal at all. The hallway looked different. The walls felt closer, like they were closing in. And at the end there wasn't just one door anymore. There were multiple doors, all slightly open, and from each one came different sounds, whispers, crying, laughing, begging, like multiple voices overlapping. She moved closer and looked inside one of the rooms, and what she saw made her freeze. People standing inside, not fully alive, not fully gone, just frozen, staring, like they were trapped. And among them, she recognized faces from missing posters, including Melissa and Trevor. And suddenly everything went silent. Every whisper stopped. Every single one of them slowly turned their heads toward her at the same time. And then they smiled. All of them. At once, the doors slammed shut. The hallway went completely dark, and something grabbed her from behind. Neighbors later reported hearing a scream that night. Police arrived. But just like before, the house was empty. No parents, no child, no Rachel. The only thing left behind was her phone, still recording. And in the final seconds of the video, you can see the hallway again, all the doors slowly opening one by one, and a deep voice that doesn't sound human saying, "We need more." And to this day, the house is still there, still looks normal, still quiet. And every few months, the same babysitting job appears again online. Same rules, same easy money, and people still take it, because it always sounds too good to be real. I thought this babysitting job was going to be easy money. One baby, parents out for the night, no stress, just me, the monitor, and a quiet house. The house was at the end of a suburban street, perfectly normal looking, white siding, neatly trimmed lawn, a dim porch light flickering in the wind. I remember feeling oddly uneasy the second I stepped inside, but I shrugged it off. The parents barely spoke. The mom handed me a baby monitor, her eyes serious. "Keep this with you at all times," she said. "If it turns on by itself, don't go upstairs." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. The dad just nodded, expression unreadable. Once they left, the house fell silent. The kind of silence that makes you hyper-aware of every creak, every breath. I checked on the baby first. Sleeping peacefully, little fists curling and uncurling, soft rhythmic breathing. I went downstairs, tried to distract myself with TV, tried to settle in, but the quiet gnawed at me, pressing down in a way I couldn't shake. Around 11:40 p.m., the monitor flickered to life on its own. At first, nothing but a faint glow on the screen, showing the baby asleep. Then, almost imperceptibly, the camera angle shifted like it had moved by itself. My chest tightened. There was something there, a shadow, tall and dark, at the edge of the crib. It didn't move like a shadow cast by the moon. It breathed. A static hiss filled the monitor's speaker, followed by a low whisper I couldn't understand. My stomach dropped. I froze. Then the baby started crying, loud, frantic, unnatural. I grabbed the monitor and ran upstairs, heart hammering in my chest. The air grew colder with each step, heavier, suffocating. When I reached the baby's room, the door was already open, and the crying stopped immediately. Dead silence. The baby lay in the crib, staring at the ceiling. Relief washed over me, until his eyes slowly turned toward me. Not blinking, not moving, just watching. Fully aware. I felt my knees weaken. Then soft footsteps echoed behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The monitor buzzed. On its screen, the crib appeared from a different angle, and behind me, that dark, humanoid figure loomed, closer than ever, almost pressing against me. My heart raced. I bolted. Downstairs, tripping, clutching the monitor, the shadow moving behind me, dragging its feet unnaturally, and the baby's crying started again, distorted, mocking me. The monitor flickered once more. This time it displayed the hallway outside the baby's room. The door creaked open slowly, and the figure stepped into the frame, gliding toward the stairs in a way that made my skin crawl. The truth hit me like a punch. The baby monitor wasn't for the baby. It was for me. I ran, bursting through the front door into the cold night, my lungs burning, my hands shaking, dialing the parents, voice barely audible. After a long silence, I whispered, I saw it. And that was all they said, nothing more. Weeks later, I found the same job online again. Same house, different name. My blood ran cold. I checked public records, police files, local forums. Nothing. No evidence. No missing persons. Nothing that explained what I saw. Yet the monitor, that cursed device, sat there waiting for someone else. I can only hope no one else will have to witness what I did. But I still wonder, sometimes, late at night, what exactly was in that room? What exactly was using the baby monitor to watch me? And why does it always seem to wait for the next babysitter to show up?